Hi guys, it's Morgan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3 of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Now, if you haven't seen the episodes, there will be spoilers in this review, so stop watching if you don't want to be spoiled. So, here's my review of episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3 of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Even though he has to be in hiding, I liked seeing Matt still doing his duties as Daredevil, since it shows that he's willing to do anything to defeat Fisk. And he found out that Fisk was using Redport to smuggle in weapons on the cargo ship, the Northern Star. I was also really surprised when Matt and Karen kissed, but I was also really happy for them. One thing that I was wondering about is that Fisk knows that Matt is Daredevil, so you would think that it would be really helpful for him if he revealed that to everyone in New York, since then he would have people looking for Matt when he's Daredevil and when he's not. So there had to be a reason why Fisk hadn't revealed that, and that reason was revealed in episode 2. I was also wondering who Mr. Charles was and what he was up to when we first saw him talking on the phone, especially since he put the phone in his drink after the call. So when we found out that he was working for Val and that they were helping Fisk, all I could think was, things are definitely going to be interesting. Even though I don't like that Heather is working for Fisk, I still felt sorry for her when she was seeing Muse while she was questioning Jack, since it showed that she's still triggered from her experience with Muse in season 1, and I don't blame her for that. I also didn't blame Kirsten for being worried about Matt, since she doesn't know where he is. And even though Cherry told Kirsten that he hasn't heard from Matt, he was lying. I mentioned this in my reviews for season 1, but I really hope that Matt tells Kirsten that he's Daredevil, since all of the secrets that he's been keeping from her will make sense if he tells her the truth. It was good that BB told Daniel that he has to be careful with Fisk, but even though Daniel thanked BB for the warning, he still doesn't think that anything bad will happen to him. And I also hope that Daniel doesn't find out that BB's using him, because like Karen told BB, I don't want BB to die. It also made sense when Mr. Charles told Fisk that they'll have to get rid of the people who deal with the cleanup for the Northern Star, since they don't want anyone to know what was on the ship. But since Fisk didn't want to kill his own men, Mr. Charles told him that he'll find other people to deal with the cleanup. I was also worried about Jack when Heather changed his answer from false to true to her question, "Evil spirits possess me sometimes," since it was definitely going to affect Jack's trial in a bad way. I was worried for Cherry when members of the anti-vigilante task force showed up at his apartment. So when Daredevil also showed up, it looked like things were going to be okay. But things weren't looking so good when Cherry got a heart attack and the members of the anti-vigilante task force unmasked Daredevil and saw that it was Matt. But before they could do anything with that information, Matt was saved when all the members of the anti-vigilante task force that were there were killed by Bullseye. And after I saw that, I was wondering what was going to happen next. And I was also hoping that since Matt didn't have to worry about his identity being revealed, that he would be able to get Cherry help. It was a relief that this episode started with Cherry being taken away by an ambulance while Daredevil watched from the roof. But since Fisk realized that it was Poindexter, aka Bullseye, who helped Daredevil, it's obvious that Fisk is now gonna go after Poindexter along with Matt. And since Poindexter is looking for forgiveness for all the horrible things that he's done, it's obviously going to be hard for him to get it from Matt and Karen, since Poindexter killed Foggy in season 1. Fisk answered the question that I had in episode 1 when he said that the reason he's not revealing to the people of New York that Matt is Daredevil is because it's easier for him to make Daredevil look like a villain than it would be to make Matt look like a villain. And when you think about it, it does make sense, since if the people of New York knew that Matt was Daredevil, they might start thinking that vigilantes can't be as bad as Fisk says they are, since one of them saved his life. So Fisk announced that Matt was a hero for saving his life and told the people of New York that Matt was kidnapped by vigilantes and needed to be rescued. It was also obvious that the video that made Fisk look bad that Daniel showed Sheila was made by BB. And since BB is using Daniel, she obviously got the footage from him. I was surprised to see Cole when he asked Powell to let him rejoin the anti-vigilante task force, since I thought Cole died in the season 1 finale, but looks like he was only injured. It was also lucky that Cherry's friends were in Cherry's hospital room when 2 members of the anti-vigilante task force showed up, since they couldn't do anything to Cherry with his friends there. And while the 2 members of the anti-vigilante task force were leaving, Bullseye showed up and killed them. And by the time Powell got to Cherry's room, Cherry and his friends were gone. I was happy to see Angela and her aunt again, so it was really sad when Angela's aunt was taken by a member of the anti-vigilante task force after she tried to stop him from going after a kid who was stealing. In my reviews for last season, I talked about how I thought that Angela was going to take up the mantle of the White Tiger after her uncle Hector was killed. And when Angela went to see Kirsten and asked to see Hector's amulet of power, it made me think that seeing her aunt get taken was the final nudge that Angela needed to take up the mantle. When Vanessa and Heather were talking, and Heather asked Vanessa if she thought Frank Castle or Daredevil killed Matt, and Vanessa said no, you would think that Heather would question Vanessa on why she was so sure about that, but she didn't. It also made sense why Vanessa started to feel uneasy while she was talking to Heather, since Bullseye was watching them. When Daniel told Bibi that if she's the one who leaked the video to stop, since they could both get hurt, Bibi realized that Daniel was afraid of Fisk, and when she asked him if he believed the rumors that Fisk killed her uncle and Commissioner Gallo, it was obvious that Daniel did believe the rumors, but because his life was looking so good, he didn't want to do anything to rock the boat. I was also worried for Sheila when she went into Fisk's office and saw the file on Commissioner Gallo, since she obviously felt guilty for his death, since she was the one who told Fisk what he was doing. And when you saw Fisk behind her, I was really worried that he was going to do something to her. But all he said was that she did the right thing and offered to walk her out. It was a relief when Angie told Josie that Cherry was safe while Matt and Karen were hiding and listening. I was also wondering why Vanessa didn't tell Fisk that she was worried about Poindexter coming after her after she woke up from her nightmare. It was also lucky when, while Matt and Karen were dancing, Matt heard the anti-vigilante task force coming for Josie, and he was able to save her. But then I got worried when he was calling for Karen and couldn't find her at first. But luckily he found her, and she revealed to him that she had captured one of the members of the Anti-Vigilante Task Force. It was lucky when Allan, the member of the Anti-Vigilante Task Force that Karen had captured, revealed to Karen and Daredevil that he wanted to help them, since they now have someone on the inside. It was also really creepy to find out that Heather kept Muse's mask, and it made me have the really morbid theory that Heather is going to become the new Muse, and that, sure, Heather seeing Muse in the first episode could be part of her trauma from what she experienced, but what if it goes much deeper than that, and she's actually seeing who she is on the inside? I understood why Heather was upset when she was talking to Kirsten about how Matt lied to both of them, but I was on Kirsten's side when she told Heather that working for Fisk wasn't the answer. When Karen was being taken to her meeting with Jack, I thought it was extreme that she had to be blindfolded, but I knew that it was because they didn't want her to know where Jack was being kept. And even though it was great that Kirsten wanted to help Jack, they both knew that it was going to be complicated. I was also hoping that Matt and Karen's plan to get the governor to revoke the Freeport status for Red Hook would work, especially since Buck told Daniel to find dirt on the governor, which they obviously wanted to use to stop her from doing that. I was also worried for BB when Buck told Daniel to find the leak and bring them to him, since it was implied that he was going to kill them. I was proud of Kirsten for trying to get Jack a fair trial, but she wasn't able to, and Jack was found guilty. But I was still hoping that things would turn out okay for Jack, and based on the end of the episode, it looks like they will. It was also obvious that Vanessa was trying to set up Heather and Buck when she sat them together. And since I want Heather to realize that working for Fisk is not a good idea, her ending up with Buck will not help with that. When Daredevil secretly met with Kirsten and asked her to tell him what she saw when she was meeting with Jack, and she told him that she didn't see anything since she was blindfolded, Daredevil said that he could work with that, and he was able to save Jack, Angela's aunt, and everyone else that were being held hostage by the Anti-Vigilante Task Force. And right when things were looking bad for them, Karen and Angela, who was wearing Hector's Amulet of Power, showed up and saved them. And Ariana, who we found out in episode 1 was helping people escape New York, told Daredevil that she knew where to take everyone. And after everyone escaped, Fisk gave the order to blow up the Northern Star and everyone on it, to the horror of Daredevil and Karen, who saw it happen as they were driving away. Thanks for watching, guys! If you saw the episodes, let me know in the comments what you thought about them. And if you want to see any of my previous Daredevil Born Again reviews, check out the playlist. And if you want to see my future Daredevil Born Again reviews or any of my other future videos, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!